Virgin.
This is Virgin 1215.
UK.
You're listening to Razor Cuts on Virgin Radio every Sunday night between 8 and 10. That was Boys Don't Cry from The Cure from 1979, and a man who's been 25 years making records. Is that, have you been really making records for 25 years? Robert Smith, by the way, good evening.
Hello. It's scary, isn't it?
Well, it's a quarter of a century. It's quite scary when you sort of throw that number out, isn't it?
Yeah, this year has been kind of pushed in our faces a bit, this 25th anniversary of the first release.
Oh, right.
It's suddenly kind of drawing in on me how long we've been doing it.
Well, I kind of didn't realise we were in anniversary mode. I mean, I should imagine you're not a man who celebrates anniversaries, really.
I do actually go in for kind of landmark dates.
Yeah?
It pins my life down, because it's otherwise slightly sort of, it kind of drifts along. So, yeah, the Three Imaginary Boys album, which was released in 79, I've just remastered it and put together an hour's worth of unreleased extras, and that's coming out next month.
What is it like peeling off the layers from years and years ago?
It's a mixture of kind of grim humour, actually, and a sort of there's a slight melancholic tinge. I think, as with any kind of like looking back, you sort of like wonder where the time's all gone. I mean, it's that same thing that everyone experiences. I think you get to a certain age and you think, well, what have I done for the last 25 years? And then you start to pinpoint things. You actually think, well, yeah, there has been quite a lot.
Well, just a bit. I mean, because you can't remember absolutely. There must be big blocks of it that kind of disappeared somewhere. Yeah,
there are. I mean, it's like the thing about, if you remember the 60s, you weren't there. I mean, it's like with me, if I remembered any of the early 80s, I'd be very happy. It's funny because like certain things, like making the first album, I mean, it's still like I did it yesterday. I can remember the smell of the studio and everything. I think that because of the excitement, the anticipation, it's like it was a very big thing for us. So there are kind of key events which pin everything down. And I think the fact that we've been playing the whole time, there's probably only a couple of years in the last 25 where we haven't done at least one live show. The fact that we've played the songs and we've constantly, like, we've been a live band, it means that looking back isn't quite as big a deal, actually, because when we rehearse songs, we kind of brush off old songs, we try them out and see if they're going to work. So there is that sense of perspective and sense of history, I suppose, within what we do anyway.
Are you one of those people that hear the mistakes more than the good things about listening back to material that was now 25 years old?
I don't anymore, no. I went through a period, probably like about 10 years ago, I was still slightly insecure, I think, about what we were doing. Whereas now, I look back, I mean, some of the stuff on the extras disc that's coming out with them Three Imaginary Boys is awful. I mean, some of it's good, but some of it's really awful.
That's probably too honest of you, really.
Well, no, I mean,
it's not the ideal way to sell something.
Well, it's there anyway, so whether you like it, you can chuck it in the bin. It comes with the album.
It comes with the few awful bits thrown in for good measure.
You can put your beer on it. For all that, but there's some stuff on it. I mean, it's like it goes right back to the start of the band. It's like 1977 through to 1979. So it's that first period of the band. It's like live stuff and studio outtakes. And that, I mean, some of it is just it's of the time. It's of necessity. It's bad. We weren't that good when we started. Most bands aren't.
That's true. If we let's play a track off the this is like contrast and compare a little. We're going to play "End of the World" from The Cure from 2004, Quantum Leap. Does that The Boys Don't Cry then the End of the World? I mean, obviously it's you, but there's been a big gap in between. Can you see a connection between these two?
I do. I think that the thing that's held everything together with what we've done is a sense of melody. I think when I have looked back over like our body of work, there's always a very strong sense of tune going on. It's very rarely that The Cure stray into territory where it's just kind of noise, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, the songs that I listen to at home, generally, if I take a step back, I think I like these because I can sing them. It's that.
If you can whistle them, is it a case of...
It's a very old-fashioned thing.
So they were written, most of your songs are written on acoustic guitar or piano then?
Most of them on guitar, actually. Most of them on acoustic guitar. Although I do go through phases of writing on piano and also on bass as well, strangely enough. But
all right.
I mean, there have been, there's a darker side to The Cure, which I think relies a lot on atmosphere, and some of those songs don't translate as well into, like...
we talked about Like a Forest was the atmospheric one, wasn't it?
But some of the big songs, or like 100 Years and or pornography stuff, or some of the things from Disintegration, that kind of stuff doesnn't really translate into a busker's kind of canon. But the sort of the pop side of the band, which The End of the World represents, and is kind of, there's a straight line between Boys Don't Cry and The End of the World for me.
Okay, well, let's hear it. This is End of the World from The Cure. This is Razor Cuts on Virgin Radio. Every Sunday night between 8 and 10, we're with Robert Smith of The Cure. That was End of the World. I don't want to harp on about the fact that you've been around so long. I mean, it's a great achievement in this fickle business they call pop. And it has probably changed a great deal since you first began. And was it more of an honest business then, do you think? Or were we more earnest then?
Looking back.
Looking back through
no, I don't think it was.
spectacles.
I just think that the people were less able to screw the artist as effectively as they are now.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that's changed...
Well, they were screwing artists in the 60s.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So nothing's changed. The emphasis has always been like the artist is at the end of the line kind of thing for me. I mean, it was the same when we started. The contract was rubbish that we signed. And it's still the same today. If you sign a contract now, the record label will be telling you they're doing everything in your interest, and of course they wouldn't be. So in that respect, nothing's changed. The two biggest things are the internet. Gradually, the means of distribution will change. That's what I thought. But the contrast and the competing thing is the fact that everyone's being like amalgamated, and there's just we're going to end up with like one huge corporation who's going to run everything, and that's not good. Because when we started, it was really on the back of the punk explosion, and there were 100 and 200 labels in the UK alone, and everyone had an outlet, and there were vinyl shops, you could go into a record shop and you could find totally obscure bands, and I mean, there are still outlets, like I say, the internet has kind of like become that, but the trouble is that it's there's too much stuff, there's too many people in the world. There's twice as many people in the world today as there were when I was born.
Well. Isn't then if it becomes that way, when the globally the music industry is down to maybe one Sony and maybe another, then would there be a reaction to that? Like we could go back to sort of 76 or something.
There is a reaction. I mean, that's what the internet represents.
The cottage industry will return.
Yeah, I mean, there are people. There's just pops into my head like Banco de Guy is a good example. Toby releases albums and it's really internet driven, and people who know about it, and so there is a means of distribution there, but it's very slow, and there's this constant struggle for it to be controlled by the majors, and when a couple of years ago everyone I think suspected or hoped that the internet would be the way forward, and it would be like a new model, but it's kind of being subsumed by the old model because they've got enough money to fight everyone. So it's a bit, I'm still hopeful that it will be it'll end up and will
right itself.
But based on history, it's unlikely.
Were you quick on it then as a band? The internet, you spot the potential of it early and sort of registered, www.cure.co UK or whatever.
We were on very early, mid-90s. Our website was up and running.
Yeah.
But,
do you run yours now? Is that you're quite hands-on with your?
We just handed it over at the start of this year, actually, because we signed to Geffen for this new record. We've always been with Polydor or Universal, and we've always run the website ourselves, but we wanted to have a kind of a different interface, and also I was getting fed up with doing it.
Well, just had thousands and thousands of emails you're dealing with.
It was the workload was getting a bit much because of all the back catalogue stuff.
It's a full-time job.
And the new album. It was just one thing too many. And so it's got slightly impersonal. I mean, on the upside, it's updated constantly. Whereas in a couple of years back, I was thinking, I mean, I'm still on a dial-up modem at home because like my exchange isn't digital. So I'm uploading pictures and stuff
for hours on end,
slightly more than tedious. So when people were always moaning, why aren't you updating your website? So now at least things are up there quick. The downside is that I think it's lost some of its personal touch, its quirkiness.
What is it? Well, what is the address there? If you want to,
it's still www.thecure.com.
Well, there you go. In between days, then we're kind of up to 85. I know we're just leaping about a little bit. You were a different band by 1985. You're obviously more popular, more successful. Can you, in between sort of that early period of 79 to say 85, can you spot the turning point, the one where it kind of exploded? Because did it sort of happen globally at the same time for the Cure?
It was a slow process really, because we with the very first lineup with the three-piece, it only existed for the first album. It was like a school band, it was this classic story, and we did the first album, then realised that we didn't really get on with each other. Like being a three-piece, there's only one person had to go.
Right.
So then we turned to a four-piece, and gradually back into a three-piece again with Simon joined, which was kind of the core of the band and has been ever since, really. But we used to play everywhere. We went to Australia a couple of times in the first 3 years of the band playing. So we were travelling around the world. Yeah, okay. I mean, we always treated the world as our place to play, rather than
the world's a stage. Somebody said,
to, like, crack the UK and then move out, and you know, which is what a lot of people do, and I think it's a mistake. It's much better to go out. So things started to happen roughly at the same time. We would kind of peak in one. We had 17 Seconds, which was our second album, was #1 in Holland, I remember, which it was like amazing.
Blimey, across the pond.
We rushed back to Amsterdam, and you know, it was that kind of deal. I mean, America obviously is the big thing, you know, and that started to happen. We got played on college radio on the East Coast in the early 80s, and then gradually by In Between Days, I mean, that was probably The Head on the Door was probably the album that started to get us played on the radio, on mainstream radio in America. And once that happened, things kind of took
You were
off.
away.
We were indeed.
All right, let's hear this then from The Head on the Door from 1985. This is The Cure and In Between Days. You're listening to Razor Cuts on Virgin Radio every Sunday night between 8 and 10. That was from the album The Head on the Door, 85, and In Between Days. You do make these kind of short, succinct, very full pop songs. In Between Days is a classic example. You're talking about if there's one constant between the Cure, it was the melody. But you have got the knack of hitting them quite. And they're only short records. These kind of came in under 3 minutes. It's like almost not far behind Buddy Holly. They were that quick and snappy.
Well, that's what's always amazed me actually about the particularly in the UK, the media in the UK, we're always tagged. I mean, now we've always been goth, right? I mean,
which is something I would like to get on. We could talk about that forever, couldn't we?
But we never actually have been a goth band. But it's immaterial to me now. It used to upset me. I don't really care anymore. But now I've noticed that begrudgingly we've turned into goth pop. I noticed in the Radio Times a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, right. Is that because they can't describe you? They're clutching for a description.
People have to. It's like you can't describe an egg by saying it's egg shaped. You have to reference it to something else. So I understand why they do it, but. The thing is, we started off as a pop group. I mean, the first album was all 3-minute songs. Boys Don't Cry. I mean, I wanted us to be like the Buzzcocks and the Beatles. That was they were my.
I think you were with these two songs.
Yeah,
I think we're right there.
I mean, that's what we were aiming for. We developed we started to develop another side to the band, and I think that's what has always thrown people, that we are actually at heart a pop band, but we do these kind of 8 or 10 minute long atmospheric pieces, and when we play live, we play for like 2 or 3 hours, and we're more like the Grateful Dead kind of thing. So it is a weird juxtaposition, but Cure fans understand what we do and get into it, and I think that we represent, like, if you're a Cure fan, you get to listen to a lot of pop music and some heavy stuff and some atmospheric stuff and some weird stuff. So we kind of like, it's a broad church really, which is one of the reasons I think why we're still around.
It's a broad church with you're heading the congregation.
Yes, at times very badly.
I don't know what's going on. Another track from the current album. Here is another one that comes in short, quick, and snappy again, isn't it? There we go again. It sounds like we're repeating ourselves.
Well, this is a weird little song actually, because the difference with this new record and anything else we've done is that I wanted everyone in the band to have at least one song on the album, and they all came up with the goods. They all actually wrote like at least one really good song. So this is one of the other songs. Although, strange enough, it was when we all started playing them with each individual song, they got mutated radically. And this is a good example. This is actually Roger's song originally, and it was a very I don't know.
What did it mutate into?
It was strings and kind of like it was grand, and it was almost like sort of like jazz symphony. Yeah. And we started on it, and it's turned into this. It's a very kind of funky little kind of almost like a Close to Me sort of vibe.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think you're very grand anyway as a band. I think there's nothing wrong with grand, is there?
Well, grand.
It's better than goth.
With self-effacement, I think is.
Okay. Let's listen to this. It's I Don't Know What's Going On from the Cure album with Robert Smith. Listening to Razor Cuts on Virgin Radio every Sunday night between 8 and 10. That was I Don't Know What's Going On from the. I keep thinking I'm going to say What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, but I mean, you're not bending the title there just to confuse somebody like me.
There's brackets in the title. That's like to differentiate from Marvin Gaye. That and the fact that it doesn't really sound.
We're going to talk about, just like we talked about America and the fact that kind of recently, I think, I don't know how you feel about it, but from, say, as an outsider, it just seems to me that the fact that you've been around such long and the heritage is now, there's a kind of appreciation when you've sort of put the hours and the work in and the years in, isn't there?
I think in the UK it's different to the rest of the world, because there isn't a sense anywhere else that the Cure have kind of been away and now they've come back, because we've always been there. In the UK it's kind of slightly different. It's been driven, this sort of paradigm shift, by a lot of younger bands saying that they like the Cure, and a lot of journalists find it very difficult to kind of like keep dissing the Cure and
can't
saying
keep
they
you
don't
down.
matter when everyone that comes in front of them is saying, yeah, we really love what the Cure have done. So there's been this reappraisal, which is it's good. I mean, I like.
What is that reappraisal? We actually do like them. We really do.
Well, I mean, we were seriously airbrushed out of history for a long, long time. I mean, people always say, "Who cracked America?" We would never be mentioned, and yet we're one of the probably like 3 bands, English bands. I mean, Depeche broke America and were able to play stadiums. There was us.
U2, yeah.
And U2 in Irish, but I mean that was really it. Through that period, like a sustained period of time. But we were never mentioned. It's always like it would be the Smiths, with the culturally significant band of that period. And you think but they were culturally significant to a small number of influential people. That's the difference. So, I mean, it didn't really bother me because I thought, our time will come. I expected it to be after I died, the reappraisal. It's something of a shock for it to happen while I'm still doing it. But it's nice. I mean, a lot of the younger bands that name checkers, I think are fabulous bands. I mean, we've been on tour this summer with a lot of them, and it's been a joy, to see the fact that we've inspired people in turn in the same way that I was inspired when I started.
Do you sort of get the sense that you come sweeping into the backstage area, and you're kind of you're sort of the granduncle of British pop music, I suppose. When you've got people, I mean, you've just name check some of the bands you've on. You've had American bands on now, the Interpol and
Rapture,
and all the bands. Is it kind of? Is it like you telling stories with them gathered around your feet?
Well, the first night was kind of strange. We had like a big sort of area where we were going to all hang out, and we did that actually after every show. But the first time we did it, the first night was strange. It was in Florida, and there was this sense of I was walking around to everyone like that. So what do you do? Really? Waving my hand in their general direction. But I mean, once a few cold drinks had been taken,
you got to relax a bit.
Yeah, it was really good. And in fact, I mean, I had a huge amount of fun. In the summer, just being able to talk to particularly the singers in the other bands, because they're doing what I do. Normally you go on tour, it's a very insular kind of thing, and you meet a lot of people, but conversations are incredibly one-sided. You just ask questions most of the time. If you're talking to fans, it's really nice talking to them, but very hard to have any common ground. Because they're kind of there standing in front of me going, So talking to like Paul from Interpol, or Stuart from Mogwai, it's really good. I could sit down and actually talk about what we do. So for me, just on that level, it made the summer hugely enjoyable. That and seeing the other bands play, because they're fabulous. I mean, the first night watching, I mean, on our stage as Mogwai and then the Rapture and then Interpol before we played. I mean, I was thinking we're going to have to be so good to go on top of these lot, and it made us play really, really well.
Most people say that it's like a kind of a kick up the backside. You've seen these people really working hard and working the crowd. You think, well, it's our show. I've got to sort of turn it to 11 or something. Isn't it?
Although the secret is to do less. They're saying it's incredible. You get the crowd to they really cheer, and all you're doing is like rubbing your head. And I say, I can't tell you the secret.
When I started way back in 1979, it's all of that. Let's listen to Just Like Heaven. This is The Cure. You're listening to Razor Cuts on Virgin Radio every Sunday night between 8 and 10. We're with Robert Smith. That was Just Like Heaven. We're going to finish off with Taking Off, which is the second single from the album. We talked about the appraisal of the band and where do you go from here, basically?
That's it.
Is it?
End on top.
I'm going to get a caravan in North Wales.
Well, it's very nice, but it doesn't really validate what we do. I mean, it's... Anyone that makes records and releases records and says it doesn't matter what people think, they're lying, because otherwise there's no point in doing it. There's no point in playing shows if you don't care about what the audience thinks. That goes without saying. But you can't second guess what people are going to want and what they're going to think is good. I mean, when we make a record, I mean, it's pretty much driven by what I want. It's an entirely selfish process. And then I sit back and I think, are people going to like it? So what we do next on the back of like the reaction to this record, I don't think will really have anything to do with how we're being appraised. Because when I'm writing music and I'm writing words and I'm thinking about creating something, I don't think about anything else but that. I don't kind of put it in the now. It's like what I'm trying to do is always create something that people will listen to further down the line. So it's like it's this quest to do something timeless and perfect. Is it kind of like putting some cotton wool in your ears and really knuckling down then, is it? Is that what happens? I listen to lots and lots and lots of new stuff, and then when I'm doing stuff, I don't listen to anything at all. I don't listen to music at all when I'm kind of in a creative mode. So I go from like sponge soaking into.
But you're not kind of frightened that something might come out that, oh, blimey, it's theirs. Didn't realise I'd picked up on that melody line.
Well,
Sorry.
there's enough people around me. I run what I do past a lot of people.
What, is this anybody else?
There have been times, and I say, like, you won't believe what I've written. They go, well, you won't believe what someone else wrote. It was exactly the same as that, and it was 5 years ago.
There you go. There you go. So what can you tell us about Taking Off then from the Cure?
Well, Taking Off again is probably in the tradition of the Cure pop single. I mean, there are three kind of out and out pop songs on the new record. It's a very kind of accessible, upbeat record, much more so than fans were expecting, I think. But I like it. Again, going right back to the beginning, it's that sort of sense of like doing a 3-minute pop song. It still excites me. Like when we do one, I think that this is really good. This is about the happiest song I've written. Well, it is the happiest song I've written since Friday I'm in Love, actually, which is like 12 years ago. So we're due for a happy song with no melancholic twist at the end.
Well, it's been a pleasure. It's fascinating, and the new album is great. And I don't need you. Everybody tells you that. Don't need me to tell you. We'll play Taking Off. Robert from The Cure, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
This is Razor Cuts on Virgin Radio every Sunday night between 8 and 10. Thank you to Robert Smith of The Cure. What a nice man. Fantastic career and some great songs there, Robert Smith. And on the show next week...